Yeah, come on. Yo, that's that spooky shit, that real, that's right. That GMSONIC shit. Hey yo, Mr. Clean. Shout out to Dracula Presley, Corbin, Johnny Slash on the beat. Hey yo. Yo, it's the GMSONIC show. Phantom opera flow, permissionless, immutable, unstoppable, spectacular. Gather with Corville and Dracula. Abracadabra, flip shit like a spatula. Few Andre Stan, the master of memes. DeFi king, half man, half virtual machine. No other team can match the collective expertise. No other chain can achieve the supersonic speeds. Home of the most creative tech. What's your favorite decks? Spooky swap, equalizer, Beethoven X. And when I place my bet, I never break a sweat. Worship the open source code like sacred text. Rest assured, battle tested and ready for war. I check the bribes, cast the vote and collect the rewards. Knock at the door, trick or treat. Move like a zombie, but usually I stay cooler than Fonzie. I get surgical with this, call me Dr. Doom. Break the sound barrier, hit you with a sonic boom. We got it wrapped like a mummy in a tomb. It's about time we address the elephant in the room. It's called Sonic. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. GMSONIC. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. Yo, since the Genesis block, consensus didn't stop. Innovating since day one and never missed the plot. I'm just a humble yield farmer, tending these crops like a routine. See you at the next epoch. Ayo, the DeFi Renaissance, yeah, we were part of that. Your favorite dap, Phantom is where it started at. Go to Paint Swap and cop an ancient artifact. Let's run it back so we can 20x the market cap. FTM's the pre-sale, S is the ticker. It's best to zoom out so you can see the bigger picture. Brand new tech, brand new insignia. No trivia, we stacking more chips than Nvidia. Graduated from Halloween to a sonic theme. The dead chain resurrected, make you wanna scream. Due diligence, follow the new primitives. Controlled by the citizens, built to move billions. Your mass adoption, that's the only option. We ain't stopping till we locked in the top 10. Who got the best community? Who got the most promise? Who got the most pumponomics? Phantom and now Sonic. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. GMSONIC. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it.
Money's the one thing I don't have.
You get paid every week, don't you?
Yep.
So what do you spend your money on?
But you don't know how to start it? Let me show you how. First, switch your battery on. Then test your alarm systems. Then turn your left and right generators on. Now turn your APU on and wait for the green light. Now that we have a green light, we're going to crank our right engine. Now that we're at 25 RPM, we're going to induce fuel. Now we're going to turn on our HUD and our DDIs. Now put your radar into standby mode, put your INS into CV, and turn on your O-box system. Now it's time to start the left engine. Now hold the left engine crank switch, wait for 25 RPMs, and induce fuel. Now that both engines are on, we can turn our APU off. Now disengage your parking brake and you're ready to take off! Follow me for more tips on how to steal fighter jets.
GM, good moon gang to you, Sonic. How you all doing?
Good moon gang.
Welcome, Dollar Cost Crypto. How you doing, dog?
Very well, man. Very well. You have gotten me up at a very surprising hour.
I know we've been trying to schedule this for like a while, and it's always that West Coast versus East Coast time thing. So I appreciate you getting up, but really wanted to have you on here eventually. I mean, absolute legend. And shout out to the Moon Gang. I've hopped on your stream a couple times. Everybody's super cool. Lots of good insights. So yeah, thanks for joining us, man.
Definitely, man. We'll definitely get Mason on here. Corvell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I'm so stoked, dude. We can finally get some real ass insights to the Dracula's dusty old opinions. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
I've been saying this for a while now, man. I mean, no, I'm just
Wait, Dracula, have you seen? Well, we were worried when you disappeared the other week, right? Have you guys seen Dracula Protocol? I was thinking, is this what he did? He went and founded Dracula Protocol.
Yeah, man, that's what happened. I told the guys, I said, I've been busted. I was trying to set up like one good, just one last good, exit liquidity protocol that I could just go ahead and, have like a TGE and all that. Was hoping to keep it anonymous, but I guess I shouldn't have called it Dracula Protocol. So
yeah. Can you imagine my surprise, Dollar Cost? I'm on here doing a stream solo, dude, and I see this. I'm like, what the hell is this, dude?
Oh, there's no way, bro. This is real.
dude,
it's so real. Hell, even Sarge is following him. I don't know anything about this. This is not an endorsement of Dracula's Protocol. It's actually a counter.
It is not my project. Let's just make that clear. Okay, we're kidding around here before the SEC comes and kicks my door in. So,
well, according to the you launch a meme coin, brother, and if Hawk 2 can get away with it, man, anyone can get away with it.
I literally referenced that. I said, if Richard Hart and Hawk Tua aren't going to prison, then I should be good. I should be in good shape.
Yeah, well, there is big differences between the two. I'm sorry, I got to defend Richard Hart a little bit here. I know, but
I threw that in just for you.
No, I know, but not to make that about that, but there's a case that she didn't know what was happening, but it's very likely she got money and then maybe didn't know to the extent how fast they were going to rug it, or maybe they were just they probably told her, hey, we're gonna sell some very slowly over time, and then that's how we're gonna get our money out. Okay, that seems fair.
Yeah, and they full stack it.
Oh, fucking they G'd it out, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, I gotta say, a lot of these people that got duped, you do kind of feel bad for them, because I'm I don't think the Hawk Tua girl masterminded a crypto pump and dump. You know what I mean? There's these guys going around the people and selling them just like that, you're going to make a lot of money. We're going to, handle the price well, sell respectfully, and of course that's not what happens ever. So
my pitch is literally be, we'll give you $750,000 right now, and then you'll just never have to think about it again. All you got to do is come on a space or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's only so far on the influencer coins. There's really only two that's got it. That has, and it has it. Well, three technically with Trump, but it's believe it or not, I'm usually very against female tokens usually, because usually they're not in the industry at all. They're not really going to stay around for a long time for the most. You know what I mean? Celebrity wise, it's just not. Dude, they don't got time for that. Katy Perry coin for real, dog? Nah, dude. Right? But believe it or not, what's her name? It was Iggy Azalea. No,
yeah, Mother.
Believe it or not, she is putting in work. Like, I can't knock it. You know, it's a meme coin, of course, but she is putting work. And then when she goes to conferences, she literally brings like cowboy strip clubs to crypto conferences. And
Dude,
you know,
they let her ding the Wall Street bell.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, how did that happen?
Well, she's a hardworking girl. I mean, I've actually, believe it or not, I've heard some interviews of people of like her and like, because you know I listen to a lot of hip hop and stuff like that. So like I occasionally like, oh wow, they're interviewing this chick. Let me listen to it. Like she would, I mean, when she was on her grind and stuff, she was literally like she was so broke. She was riding buses all over New York and all over everywhere just to get the interviews and stuff. And so she did not come from like a rich background at all and stuff like that. So I was like, that's hard for me. That shows like, okay, there's some work ethic there. You know, then that's the reason why, you know, she's kind of maintained at least something, because like, you know, usually after an artist hits her like 1 or 2 hits, 10 years later, they're basically gone. Legitimately. Yeah. And I would say the last one would be like Tate, you know, like Andrew Tate and stuff like that. I mean, he keeps supporting it. I think he's about to launch another token, actually, believe it or not.
Isn't it Daddy? Is his daddy?
I personally, I would have gone with a different name, personally. Like, you know, but like he's gonna launch some, I think like a top G coin, literally. Like he's about to launch it or something. He's been teasing it for a while now or something like that. So I'm like, oh, here we go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate name. I think I wouldn't call it Daddy.
He used to be involved in a lot of other crypto projects, right? Or was he always just kind of like trading quietly and bragging? Crypto is part of like his kit for like his sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? I mean, I know a lot of the guys that are close to, I've got friends, some of my friends are actually friends with him and stuff like that. It's like in real life. And
Mannerbund.
Yeah, like I mean, he so what's happening? So he has this kind of his groups and stuff, and then he has then inside the groups, obviously they're broken up into like finance, and in the finance group, he's got the crypto guys, he's got the guys who like day trade, he's got options, you know, it's just kind of like the whole suite of people and stuff. And they, you know, they made a lot of money in 2020 and 2021. They were investing back then. I know for a fact they were, and they did very, very well on Binance last cycle, like very well on Binance. And you know, this time around, you know, they got into Solana, I think a little later than the bottom, but like pretty much got into Solana probably around $50 or so onwards, and then did pretty well with meme coins from there. And when you have a group that big, I mean, I'm not saying pump and dumps or something like that, but like there's always going to be like bad characters inside the groups, of course. Yeah, but like they're pretty much on the up and up on that stuff and everything like that. But in the past, I don't know. I mean, I've heard, I don't know what to believe a little bit, because like there may have been like some forex shenanigans in like 2018, 19 sort of time frame. So, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, 2018, 2019, I'd say you're covered in the crime region. So, you know, the crime, like the laws of the crypto crime only go back like 2 weeks. So like if you make a crime and you make it 2 weeks, the
statute of limitations.
Yeah, the statute of limitations is actually financial crime in crypto. It's 13 days, not actually 14. But
one media cycle is what they say.
One media cycle. But yeah, man, you know, I think that was a pretty nice little segue into like right what we were going to talk about, which was obviously like the biggest news in a while, but not just yesterday, but in a while. There was like a sequence of events. So it started with, you know, reports that Binance Wallet was now going to have support for Sonic Chain. And also even that they were going to kind of like somehow incorporate the airdrop even for like using Sonic stuff with the Binance Wallet. So of course everybody was pretty hype about that.
Right.
But the big news came right after that, which was that 3 tokens. Yeah, 3 tokens yesterday made it the Binance Alpha. Anon, Beats, Shadow, and Dollar Cost. I know you're a big Shadow holder, so congrats to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But yeah, man, I mean, it's good to see on Sonic just like the ecosystem's getting some recognition. Obviously after Binance, I'm not sure how much higher you can go. I mean, Binance Alpha is kind of like a different, it's not like, oh, they're just now trading on Binance. There's still like some other steps, but that's still huge news, especially to take 3 projects at the same time. So like, what are your thoughts on that, man? Like where do you think like, what should be like the next step, after this? I mean, like, what are we looking at?
Right. So, come on, Asia, pump our bags. So, like the way I see it is this is sort of, it's essentially we've been putting on like our ecosystem has been put on training wheels for a while. Same thing. USDC gave us USDT.E, and then we've proven like, oh wow, like there is volume here. All right, we'll give them the real USDC. I think it's going to be the same sort of thing with this, especially if they are giving Sonic points away. It does feel nowadays it's like you get Sonic points and you get Sonic points and you get gems and you get gems, ladies and gentlemen. It does feel like that. Like it is tough. Like basically, if you want a lot of points, you got to repothecate back and forth and loop, loop and pull. And I hope you get all your points is cool, right? Like silo, and do everything else you got to do in order to get the points maxed out times 27 or 58 if there's a possible strategy and stuff like that. But I do understand we need like dollars coming in, but like I think we should like the only change I do to the point system is like I feel like we should have incentivized like holding coins a little bit more, or like as an example, if you're like yield farming like Anon, an example, or Shadow or Goggles or any other coin, right? That's an actual like homegrown coin, like the active points should have been higher on those coins versus just stables, because they've given plenty of points to stables because you can loop them and stuff like that. But like I have students of mine who are like yield farming, really long-term holders, some of these coins, and they're getting stomped out by people who are just stable farming.
Yeah, and I mean I have seen that concern expressed, and it's like I think it's a good idea. I mean, I understand both sides of the argument because when you're trying to get your chain kind of like off the ground, everybody wants to like find yield and like do things with the majors and the stables. But I think that would be cool, if like maybe here towards the later half, they drop some stuff for like some of the eco tokens. Yeah. That also came later. Granted, these are, they added Shadow and Beats to the airdrop points to be whitelisted. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be an interesting idea to like open it up to like a lot more of the eco. It could, maybe give the eco a little boost. Yeah, I mean, maybe for season 2, that's something they'll think about some more. Right. But now that we do have that TVL, I mean, we're constantly hovering right there at like 1 billion, which was, I think that was the goal, because from 1 billion, you really have to start, once you hit that 1 billion mark, to really crack that top like 7 or 8, it's going to take a lot more than just 1 billion. So, I do think like in terms of like how the points have been working and everything, it's one of the better systems I've seen.
Oh, for sure. Much more transparent, definitely, than some systems I've seen. Like there's a lot of ecosystems that like, I mean, last cycle, I would say there was much more of an actual consensus in terms of like, just use this in general, you should just, if you're in an ecosystem, just use everything, try to make an NFT, play around, do stuff like that. But like, there was much more profit in actually doing that last cycle in 21 than this cycle, because a lot of the kind of like those founders have essentially kind of like pretended like that's going to give you points or give you like airdrop, and then the airdrop's titanically small.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The airdrops are essentially being given out to bot, ratio traders that are just trading back and forth to themselves, creating vague volume, like, ZK Sync and sort of those things, and Hyperliquid and stuff. Because I know guys that are like, that was a big part of their strategy, and then they're so pissed off how ripped off they got off of all the
Layer Zero was another one where they grinded for years and they were never really showing you what you had to do to earn what. And I agree though. I think that's it's something I haven't really thought about a lot in terms of the Sonic drop is I do like that a lot. I mean, obviously it's like the transparency I think is like a big deal compared to like how a lot of the other airdrop campaigns have been handled. And let's see, that was a good question here. LAP says, what do you guys think will happen with all the stables after the airdrop farming's done? Honestly, I think Sonic's kind of like a unique situation because, we already had Phantom Community going in. But here's the thing. During the bear market, and I know me and Dollar Cost talked about this last time I was on his stream. During the bear market, I had funds everywhere because I was always hunting yields. I could never find good yields for the stuff I wanted. So I would have, my ETH on one chain, my Bitcoin on one chain, my stables on one chain. So the thing about Sonic, I think that it has like to its advantage is even if, we weren't as ingrained in Sonic as we are, I would probably have most of my funds here because I don't know of really anywhere else that has like these kind of yields for majors and stables,
Right.
So it will be interesting to see though. I think the season 1 wraps up here like mid-June. So, we'll have to see what happens. It's kind of a, the overall situation for Sonic is just kind of unique compared to like how some of these other chains have launched.
Yeah, and I want to follow that up with Dollar Cost Crypto saying, hit the like button, hit that like button. And then, I think that's an interesting point that so season 1, I kind of like your idea, Dollar, that the incentive structure maybe could be changed to being more favorable to like holders as opposed to just continuous like or like native tokens.
Right.
And that might be a component of season 2 if we're thinking of like season 1 is trying to pull everyone in and then season 2 trying to incentivize them to stay. I think that might be interesting.
Do we know how long each season is going to be, more or less? Or like it's like season 1 going to be the longest and then every other season is shorter? Because like cycle wise, best case, it'd be cool if we said that we got a whole, we got Grand Theft Auto coming out in 26 now.
Yeah.
That's a big day. Hey, well, that's huge news. And part of me feels like they're lying to us and it's coming out in this month on the 26th. Like they might pull some bullshit like that saying like, hey, you guys, we're launching on the, next year in 26 and then launches on, 26, 2025. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, man. I don't think someone can correct me. Fallout Zone here saying he thinks they're 6 months each. I think that's kind of the number I've seen tossed around, but I don't think there's been like necessarily like a cut and dry, like, hey, here's how long every season is. It will be interesting to see if the other ones are as long or short. I think shorter would probably be good after the first season. I don't know. I saw how this happened with Blast where their first season was crazy long. I mean, 6, 7, 8 months or something. But their second season's even longer. I mean, they had announced that their second season wasn't going to wrap up till like a year after or whatever. And I think that hurt them a lot. And I would like to see 6 months tops, but I think it would be good to like, say, hey, maybe like every season after is like 3 or 4 months or something.
Yeah.
How's the first Blast airdrop though?
Man, honestly, when people ask me about that, because I farmed it heavy, I say it was fine. That's the best way to wrap it up. I mean, I honestly didn't think it was a bad airdrop necessarily, but it was like by the time I got it and how much I farmed and everything, I was like, I mean, it was still more than say staking my Ethereum. I mean, just about anywhere. It still ended up being like a decent APR, but ultimately would I do it again? I probably wouldn't have, just with like the risks and having to leave your capital there and, everything else. Because they were the opposite of Sonic. There was really not much going on there the entire time on that first season. There was a handful of things, but it was very different in this situation.
Yeah, because I remember when the seasons like I was under the illusion for a long time, and that's kind of how I felt like it was being talked about on Twitter, at least, was like the first season was ending kind of when all the bridges were closing in March, that was kind of what I had heard for like, especially as we're launching, because it made sense. I was like, yeah, that means people convert over. We're playing around a little few months on Sonic, and then that's the end of the first season, and then we'll get maybe the first distribution, and then we'll have another season over to maybe until the end of summer. And then I was like shocked that I was like, whoa, June? Dang. Wow, all right. Well, I mean, I am not mad. I mean, it's fine or whatever, but like I was like, whoa. Like I thought
it's pretty long. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's why like I think I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to have the first season on the longer side, but yeah, I mean, shortening it up would probably make it a little more gamified, a little more fun. Plus, they're going to have these, these airdrop NFTs and everything else going on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm super interested.
That should help Paint Swap a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fees. So, if you're a brush holder, I would look into that.
Yeah. I wish we had. The only thing I'd say on brush is I wish we had like maybe like an X blue pool, like an X pool for brush, an X brush pool. That'd be kind of cool and stuff like that. But yeah, super happy about Beats getting listed here. I'm a large holder in Beats as well, so very happy about that one. It's actually kind of held up a little better even than Shadow, kind of, because of like after it got launched, they also launched on MEXC. Like within like 12 hours after that as well, which is kind of cool for Beats. So I'm glad to see Beats doing very well, because it kind of launched at a sort of a like, I think like Beats would have done a lot better if it especially last cycle, if it launched like 3 months sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of launched at the peak basically.
Yeah, you're kind of right about that, because I'm a big fan of like the balancer tech stack, and it was kind of funny, like looking at last run when they did launch. I mean, just having that first mover, I guess, means so much, because at that time on Phantom, it was like the big dexes were Spirit and Spooky, which inherently both of those dexes are based. I mean, they're basically uni whatever forks. And then Beethoven launched with like the balancer stack, and I was always a big fan of that. But I agree, it's like who knows what would have happened if they had maybe launched like right there, like beginning of fall during the last run, or like end of summer. But yeah, no, it's exciting just to see, just to even see Binance and Beats and Shadow and all that in the same sentence. It's just it's really exciting. And this is cool too. Falzone says it's cool to see Beats backed by the original team. They actually all like work together now, which is crazy. They started as like a balancer friendly fork, and now I know that like they do some of the UI stuff for balancer. They kind of have like some synchronicity now. Like I don't know if they're like necessarily on the team, but they work together pretty closely now.
Yeah, they revenue share, I think like 50% on OP. And stuff like that. And again, that's kind of one, like it's so good. And incentives have always been better on Phantom, and especially on Sonic and stuff. So like, I'm not shocked to say that like Beats financially makes more money than like the original team right now, probably, like just because things have been pretty rough on Ethereum for a while now. Even the L2s have been it's been like, I've been saying this to my students, like we've been in a kangaroo market for like starting in 24, basically. Like 23 acted exactly how I thought. Like you buy the bottom in like 22, beginning of 23. Almost you could have almost bought damn near anything, and it popped off pretty decently from the bottom. So everything acted exactly how it's supposed to in 23. And 24, you had the Ethereum side completely not keep up.
Oh, I know.
And it just became VC heavy. Like it was like only US chains kind of did well, basically, or ones with huge incentive programs, kind of like Blast and these other ones and stuff that had but still that's very VC heavy as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a good bit about how like if you kind of watch the subtle signs, it feels like they are kind of like shifting the machine away from like the L2 focus, and it looks like they're going to try to like kind of build up the L1 again to be like more competitive with everything that's going on. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that. They're talking about, being like competitive with like TPS and gas and everything, which would be crazy. Brandon here says, is there any chance the Sonic airdrop will be linear, as in it mainly favors the whales. Well, I'm not sure I totally understand the question on that.
Like it's proportional to the amount of points you've received, and the amount of points you'll receive will depend on the amount of assets you hold.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I don't know if that, there's always an argument with that system, right? Where people feel like, okay, well, if it's like that, only like the big whales are like, scooping up all of the points and all of the airdrop and everything else. But I feel like they're giving opportunities for other tokens, other tasks. I think it's a hard thing to balance. And there is part of the airdrop even that is incentivizing if you were like a phantom user or like a phantom dev. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about though, but I don't know how you balance that really, because you're a new chain, you're trying to get that volume, you're trying to get liquidity, all that stuff. You kind of have to court some whales, court some funds, all that stuff, but you still want to like reward the people that use your chain every day and are more just kind of like your average crypto user. So I kind of feel like it's got a good mix of both things, but obviously in any situation like this, when you're getting rewarded for your liquidity that you're providing and your tokens you're providing, I don't see how there's any way to like necessarily like, beat the whales, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really released the details on how I guess they did, right? It was the vesting NFTs. So I guess we'll get more clarity on it. But at the end of the day, it's like, like Dracula said, I'm curious what you think, Dollar. It's like what can you do, right? Like,
I mean, you're trying to get users. There's two strats, right? And like when you're onboarding users, either you're trying as a chain to be like, it's sort of like, imagine like you had a wallet as an example. I think a wallet structure is a lot better to understand it. So it's like either your chain sort of like a wallet where like what you're trying to do is like, yeah, you want the huge users, but if you have 10,000 people doing like $100 transactions and you're able to make a % off of that, it's very profitable. And then you're able to maintain yourself versus the other side is like, much larger whale positions, and that bring on kind of more of a middle class, sort of upper middle class sort of users and stuff like that, and then you can make money through that way. And of course they're not making money to give all the money back to people, but like as an example, right? But like it is sort of a game of like like the middle sort of, I don't know, like the upper middle class of crypto people who yield farm and stuff like that are going to get a pretty nice stack, I think, from the airdrop. But yeah, of course, a ton has to be given to the whales because they're coming in with a ton, right? Yep. But they're not giving the whole stack away, which is nice. So it's like I don't know what percentage it is. Maybe like 50% of people are getting like 20% of the drop, probably, and then 20-30% is going to projects which are going back to power users anyway. So so we're talking probably like 30% is going to the middle class, and then you have like 45%, maybe 45% is probably going to like the whales, which is like these maybe 300 wallets basically, or 300 users or something, and then everybody else gets the rest. It's going to be something like that, I imagine. Which on a lot of other airdrops, it's like the 300 top wallets are getting like 80%.
Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, that's a good question. And I think you raise a good point there about the, kind of talking about the protocol gems. I feel like that is kind of like a good kind of like countermeasure to reward those people that are like actual on there grinding every day, using the apps, everything else. So I haven't even thought of that way. That's a good point, I mean, ultimately, I think this whole campaign has been, well done, and it's going to be bullish for the chain. And I hope that, that's, like I said, it's kind of like June. We're just going to have to really see what happens. It's hard to tell, like, since the situation's kind of unique. But I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we're going to see most of the TVL will be sticky, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you actually we actually skipped charts if you remember. Do you want to throw them up? Like let's take a look to see like where this took us here.
What's a chart?
Let's see.
Oh, you'll learn today, Dollar. You're gonna learn, dude.
Well, I'm gonna learn today. All right, here we go.
Well,
that's what we call a chart, and we use it to predict the future.
yeah, I mean, I feel like the action is about as expected. You know, it's obeying my meme line. You know, so like about what we figure, you know, it's going to take us a little while to bust through here. We tapped it almost twice, got kind of like smacked down both times. So I still think the chart looks good. We're just waiting, you know, we need more. I think what I'm trying to get at, sorry, is it kind of shows you what S can do when like we have some catalyst stuff going on, right? Because S like has actually been performing pretty well compared to like the alt market. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance is still staggering. You know, I think we're kind of like we are like in like a new world now. And for Bitcoin to have the dominance it does, I feel like S is performing well. And I think we might be kind of stuck here for a minute because this is, 50 cents is such a battleground. I think, we're going to need like a real, at least one real tap here to bust through. And, that's of course, considering if the, macro conditions like chill out a little, or at least don't escalate further.
We've had some, I mean, on the macro side, because that's kind of what like I do a little bit on my channel and stuff is like, I'm kind of fundamental analysis and macro basically.
Yeah. And,
pretty much China is reneging right now on tariffs right now, at least 40 billion. They're kind of like, yeah, we'll take 40 billion. We'll 40 billion of this of what we trade a year, like no taxes, because they're hurting really bad. Basically, they're not trying to say it, but like the tariffs are working on China, where they're having much less effect here on America. They're having a moderate effect actually on Europe and stuff, just because there's like starting to be like, because they have, they can't sell to America, they have to sell to Europe. So Europe's getting kind of a boom right now a little bit because they're getting sold, Sheen really off. The clothing side of the market, Europe is getting flooded around. They stay on. That's right. They stay on. Like, one thing I bit my tongue a little bit when you were talking about Vitalik a little bit. I was like, make Ethereum great again. We need to tariff these L2s.
Yeah, honestly, he does, dude. He needs to tariff the L2s. I don't know.
No. Keep going on this vein, dude. It's
like the L2s.
Well, he does. I mean, like, the problem with Ethereum has always been, well, all right, look, I'm going to give you guys my real ass opinion on Vitalik, okay? You guys want to hear my real ass opinion? I read Cryptopians, right? I forget her name, that excellent journalist. There's a part in that always stuck with me, and it's when she's talking to Vitalik. Vitalik says, he's talking to some girl in college, and she's like talking about how she wants to be a doctor because she wants to be rich. And Vitalik literally does this. He's like, she doesn't even know what it means to be rich. Because Vitalik wants to be like truly wealthy. Is what he says his earliest desire was, from as early as he could remember, was that he wants to be wealthy, right? And he made, and not to say that he doesn't align with these values or whatever, but I feel like what happened was after he made a lot of money on Ethereum, he was like, all right, I'm out. Like, yeah. Which is fair enough. It was like 26 or something, 28. He's like, I'm out. I don't care anymore. And he was kind of just like maintaining that distance. But the problem was no one ever decided whether Ethereum was like, after this initial business venture, no one decided whether it was like, I don't know, like a philosophical statement about like world computing, right? Or if it was like a business endeavor. Because it seems to me like the L2s are like, this is where open sourcing it all, Come fuck the golden goose to death. Who cares?
Right. And I think you're right. He took a step back, and his coming back forward because his things about I think maybe he's gone a little older, because we've all gotten older now as well. Because like that happened to him in 17, right? 2017, right? Yeah. Like, dog, that's 7.5 years ago.
It's a long time.
Yeah. It's a long time. 7.5. I didn't have a fan. I have a kid now. You know what I mean? Like it's like what happens in 8 years,
Yeah.
And it's he's old, he's getting a little older now, and also you have like I wouldn't say 3 generations, but essentially 3 generations of Ethereum. Ethereum kind of our generations are 4 years, right? You have the guys who kind of started with it, the 21 guys, and then this new branch, and he's getting kind of like the first wave. The 17 guys will never hate him just because he got so rich off of it.
Yeah.
But the 21 guys and then the new breed, there's a massive disrespect to Ethereum right now, massive level of disrespect.
Yeah.
And it's getting so bad now. Like, I mean, he's going to be fine financially, but it could implode within a cycle. Like him being superseded by like Solana, or I mean, God, hopefully not, but maybe Sonic takes over. That'd be great. But like, which he definitely can. But like, I have always made money investing into I have something called the box, or the L7 method, which is just like a little thing I teach, be an L7 loser, the box, right?
Yeah.
But the most important point of the box, besides community, is who's the founder, who's the team. But the founder is the X factor, and that could be, it doesn't have to be the founder. It could be now like the new head of the project, right? Like the CEO, right? And obviously that's Andre, right? That's Richard Hart. That's Vitalik. Cardano's found. Every successful chain has its the head of the pyramid, right? And I mean that's sad right there. He slipped. Like I think he's taking I think he's like when he was more kiddie and stuff, he allowed some of that like little soy stuff to happen on video for fun.
Yeah.
And then he's starting to tone it down now substantially because he's seen how stupid that decision that was, or maybe he's grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
I've noticed it. He's like in the last 4 or 5 months, he's like, he fired basically the entire, Ethereum Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the head,
Do you think he's going to do the Zuckerberg thing? I feel like that's what he needs. I feel like that's what Vitalik really needs. He needs like the Zuckerberg. You remember how like Zuckerberg, we were like, he looks like a reptile. He'd be out surfing. People be like, he looks like a
no. Wait. I see what you're going now. I wasn't sure which way you're going with this. Okay, got it.
No, but like I mean it not just like in the aesthetics. Like he needs someone to come through and give him a gold chain and fix his hair. He needs like I think what Vitalik needs is he needs to really just decide what he wants to do. Like, does he want to build a big fucking company with Ethereum?
Right.
Or does he want to make Linux? Right? Does he want to, like the Linux guy? What he does is he just works on it all the time. Right? He's just pushing up. He's doing pull requests and shit, and then he does a couple conferences. Vitalik seems to kind of, and he makes like philosophical speeches. Vitalik kind of seems like he wants to do that, but at the same time, it seems like he realizes it needs to be like a business. And if he does that, he needs to do the Zuckerberg thing, where he gets someone to come in and be like, all right, this is how you got to talk to people. This is how you run a business, dude.
Start lifting weights.
Yeah, you got to start lifting weights. You got to start
celebrity boxing match.
Smoking meats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be somewhere between, I don't want to say Zuck all the way. I would say like, because he's never been a Zuck. He's just not. He's not a Zuck at all. I think he's going somewhere in between, like I guess what Zuck is today, and like Microsoft in the 80s or 90s, in a way, right? Because like obviously 2000s was like he handed it off, like because like our modern day Microsoft is Ethereum. Like anyone who was early in in the Vitalik sort of ecosystem there, and got unbelievably wealthy. And that's kind of, if you read between the lines of what he said, why he was like kind of firing half the foundation, we're looking for like, he used girl terms. I mean, it was like, I read womenese all the time. Shout out to my buddies, right? But like if you read what he said right there, he basically said like most of the foundation is basically too rich and out, and like basically doesn't understand how the market works anymore.
Not in the trenches
anymore, because they don't have to be, when you can just fucking like, they're just yield farming their Ethereum on like 4 chains at most, and they're just chilling, going to the strip club.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're doing. What I mean? Like what else are they doing? They're working 2 days a week, mostly Zoom calls, and then they're just partying or just being like they're digital nomads effectively for the most part, and
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. And then they're not in the trench. Like miladies, like I have never been a fan. Never been a fan. Like Derp for sure, cool. But like miladies, like I always thought that was very strange. Like I think like what's happening now, especially because I think we were talking about AI a little in the background. It's going to become a huge thing to have your real face. Sure, you can have a caricature of your face or a meme version of your face, but like I think we're going to start getting away from anonymous sort of things, because I think it's going to get harder and harder and harder. Like you guys are showing your faces, so you can have like you could have anonymous pictures of your face if you have a show, but if you are just a Twitter personality, I think it's hugely to your detriment actually, and it's already starting to show that, because like I've got like right now it's always a good time to start a channel for like I encourage my guys to do channels all the time. Start a YouTube channel, get your voice out there, man. Yeah. Because like at some point because like the most important thing in the future is going to be IP or like brand, basically for us, right? Like if you guys have an IP or a brand, you are like you're unique, because at some point it's going to be I think it's going to get hard to become unique or harder to become unique, So like, yeah.
Yes. I think you're right in that, like the identity thing, like it's going to become really important with this AI stuff. We were talking about this before the show. We were saying about how like 80% of the traffic, I think, or 80% of the transactions will be done by like AI bots.
Yep.
I worked with an AI company for a bit, and they were saying already like something like 85% of the transactions that occur are like bots, like either trading bots, leverage, or bots, something. It's some kind of automated process. And it's just going to get worse. Now, interestingly enough, though, the identity thing, we all laughed at WorldCoin, but it's the logical conclusion of the normification of this space, right? Is it's like we're going to prove that it's you, and we're going to put your face on the blockchain, and we all know it's you. That seems to be the way it's all going.
Yeah, just probably not incentivize me with the hot dog. I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah, he scanned your eyeball for a hot dog, and
dude, that's like some like vote for Tammany stuff. That's like straight up like yank them out of the bar stools and give them a beer and tell them to go scan their eyeballs.
Like, all right, I'm gonna be very careful how I say this because I don't want to veer into like a bad conversation, but like, no, because I just don't like. You guys heard what happened with 4chan?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna say who's the top contributor, okay, but like when 4chan got taken down, essentially, it was like 20% users, 80% federal governments.
Yeah, I believe it though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We all knew for a long time. I noticed 4chan changing after like a couple years ago, and I was like, this is weird. Yeah. And yeah, it was all foreign governments, right? So like, and the same thing too. Like I'm pretty in the weeds when it comes to the tariffs and the the China stuff and everything like that. I'm very pro America, of course, and this is something that's pissing me off on Twitter and on YouTube comments a little bit. There's a lot of fake. There's the same thing. I wouldn't say it's like there's a lot of real users, of course, but like I would say 40% of comments are fake, completely fake, and they're essentially government bots already on YouTube and Twitter. Like I'm seeing people like that, like it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, a Midwestern mom picture, this person, this and stuff. Is like, China's totally destroying us right now. There's no way we can keep up. And then I click on her profile, right? Live, love, laugh, right? Yeah. And then private, no followers, created a year ago.
Yeah.
Weird. The Snow White girl, weird, right? And that's the big thing is like, there's I'm totally not Indian or like Chinese right here. Totally. America's doing real bad right now. China's totally going to win, we're just getting crushed right now with like dog where? Like where, dude? Like you go outside and where they're coming from, right? And like that, it's so apparent. It's like it's so easy to tell the comments of who's a Chinese bot. It's insanity because I played World of Warcraft professionally for years, so like I know a little thing about Chinese, gold farming a little bit, right? I know a little bit about farming, right?
Yeah. It's true, man. For a while, it still probably happens, but if you go on like almost any like post that's gotten hell, it happens with posts that even get like maybe 2,000, 10,000 likes, right? But even any big one, definitely, you'll go on and you'll see the slight variations on an Indian account. So it'll be like a man, a woman, a man. Like they're all got different names or whatever, but they're all saying the same thing, just phrased Chat GPT, like say this another way, like 10 times. That internet theory is real. That's why, I mean, honestly, kind of bullish for these identity NFTs. I mean, if there's I don't know how I'd make any money off of it, but it's definitely going to be inevitable at this point.
Yeah, because isn't like Andre one of the protocols? Like this one, I'm interested in. I don't know how he's going to fucking pull it off. I hope he does, because I mean, if anyone can do it, Andre's going to be able to do it. But like, give Social Security or not Social Security, social credit score sort of thing. Yeah, like credit score with a wallet, which is interesting. You know. I don't know if it's going to be something more like you deposit, like I don't know, social credit score sort. I hope you don't go down that way, but like it's essentially more like a crypto wallet, credit score. Essentially. Because like with a fusion of maybe possibly real world data or just how the wallet interacts over time. Oh, this wallet's super old. It's like credit history. Wow, this account's been open for a cycle and a half. Pretty good. That's good credit history. Hasn't been exploited. Like buys bottoms, sells tops. Wow, like checks your on-chain trading. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, dude.
But I don't know. Like Shadow Anon beats getting listed or hopefully listed very soon and stuff like that, or a version of that. But there we like little. Can you put that little Uzi Bert comment up? So I had 2 streams ago. I shit you not. I had a Russian agent jump on my comment section, like I basically showed it was like some dude pretending to be American, and then as I asked some questions, was being like kind of conversating, being nice to him over the comments, like, I'm trying to help you, bro. Yeah. I eventually got him to say that he was like a dude that was born during the USSR, was not American at all, and like essentially was just a Russian dude, which was some like very biased guy that like that Russia could kill us in 10 minutes and shit. I was like, oh, it was so funny. He was like he jumped in pro America and then he was like, but I've been noticing how bad America's doing and like how bad crypto's doing because America's in control. And then he went totally like, oh yeah, I'm Russian, bro. I'm like, you I was like, what the hell? Like that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it's just people dressing, and the same thing vice versa. You're like, oh, I'm an Ethereum lover, but like Ethereum's been fucking up on this. Like there's a lot of like concern trolling or whatever they call it. Yeah,
for sure. One thing I didn't do because we're like running out of time here was I didn't even like really let you like explain. Like most people know who you are, but I was just wondering if real quick before we hopped off, like you're a big time streamer, but you do a lot of other stuff. I was just wondering if you wanted to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're working on and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. My name's Dollar Cost Crypto. I've been in the crypto space since 2016. I, pretty much bought at a good time during crypto in the 2016. 2017 was euphoric. It was the best high I've ever had in my life. And I rode it all the way down. But I learned from my mistakes and I traded my way out of it over time. Like I bought the Litecoin bottom and I sold pretty much the top on the Litecoin halving, the first one in the bear market. And then that kind of got me out of like the losses. And then from there I was able to like get into DeFi. And eventually I started a course to onboard users into it in 2020 with Charlie from Cultivate Crypto. And then we're pretty much the longest running like crypto education course in the world right now. We've been running it since 2020. We've onboarded about 18,000 people, like individual users that paid us to teach them about crypto, about 18,000 users, mostly from, I would say, the Red Pill community, which is kind of like a men's improvement, kind of like looks maxing pickup artists / like men's rights, I guess, is a great way. Maybe it's explained to a person who doesn't know what it is. And, we've helped make that community quite a lot of money and stuff like that. And yeah, it's been very successful, and I mostly focus on fundamental analysis, kind of like how to do research on crypto, and then yield farming. That was one of my big things. I really made my made my bones kind of yield farming in late 2020 and all of 21 and stuff like that, and it was big. I was playing big time on Phantom during 21 and 22. I yield farmed the entire time. I mean, it was pretty boring in 23. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I was yield farming the entire time. And I was voting on Beats proposals on like every chain. Like, I mean, like as turbo dork as you possibly could be. But and then just kind of helping our guys not to get rugged effectively. Like, I guess one thing that we got pretty well known for was like we told people to get out of Luna pretty like on the ball. Basically, I'd say like $180 or so. If I remember the price correct, it might be like if I remember the price correctly.
Imagine how someone feels if they like actually like sold the top on Luna. Like you gotta be like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's right. I'm trying to remember. It was pretty bad. Like, I mean, what I feel bad about, like, who mostly lost on Luna, like obviously besides really big DeFi people, is like because it was kind of Asian based a little, quite a lot of like kind of math guys that got like, it's kind of crazy to me, like, because the math guys knew that they were like it was like, well, runway wise, how much money they have, they have, worst case, they got 8 months, so I'm still safe. So you couldn't convince them. When the community started calling themselves like, I'm a lunatic and a terrorist. I'm like, dog, okay. I haven't seen, like, I knew this was going to end bad because like the guys wearing glasses, the smart guys, the Asian guys and stuff like that, we're starting to get cocky and becoming very very rude, really.
You're like, it's time to get out.
Yeah, like I just felt super weird about it. And then I mean, and we all, I think in the beginning we all heard it was kind of like a death spiral, but like the price kept going up, and then I was like, bro, we're investing into like Wonderland Time and into like all these other tokens and Olympus DAO and like dog, like this is what it is, tomb season, man, t-shirts for life.
Well, man, we really appreciate you hopping on and meaning to have you on forever. We'll definitely bring you back sometime soon. You're super versed on what's going on Sonic, so it was awesome to have you, man.
Before we get off, what are you thinking right here? We're gonna break this level right now on S.
Man, I hope so. I think we keep. If like
keep in mind, we're heading into Vienna. We're heading into a summit. I don't know if that has the same conference curse, but
every coin has it, dude. Like even like in Pulse Chain, same thing. Like every conference that happens, that's usually the top.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's the conference next week. Hopefully we get some alpha dropped. And also I don't have the post in front of me, but this morning they announced that if something doesn't happen at in Vienna in June, they've confirmed Andre is going to speak at Permissionless in New York. So he doesn't do that a lot. So there we go.
I couldn't end the stream without putting the goggles on, man. Like I was like, this is a travesty. We weren't having the goggles on.
Hell yeah.
Man, yeah, I'm traveling, so I don't have my usual setup, but I'm glad you're able to pop those on.
Definitely.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what we're going to be announcing in Vienna. More goggles for everybody.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome. And so in June,
they've said Andre will be speaking at Permissionless in June in New York City. So best case scenario, maybe we get some alpha and some good news next week and in June, right? Let's bust through that 60 cent resistance and keep it moving.
So
right.
Last thing, because I know you guys have to go. You guys are more in depth on this side because I've been trying to figure it out a little bit. Like the exchanges exchanges that we were on with Phantom are we finally going live with S now? Because obviously the only exchange you can really buy native S on is crypto.com right now. In terms of the majors in the US, right? Obviously you can buy them on other exchanges that are kind of like
they Kraken, I think they just did like on Kraken, they just did like the migration and you can trade on Kraken in the US. So I think those are probably the two main if you're trying to buy on SEX in the US. But, you know, in terms of if you're not looking to just get it, you know, US style, there's tons of, you know, a lot of the exchanges have finished their migrations and, you know, now you can buy and sell S. So, oh, okay. And yeah, this is a good little note here. He says, Kraken says it's coming, but it hasn't gone live yet. So, yeah, they made like a big post and everything, but I guess we're still waiting for it to actually drop. But
look how good we've done without those exchanges. When they turn back on, I really think it's going to be like the afterburner, or like they're like to start taking us back up because like, it is hard. Like, I mean, like I'm an onboarder and stuff like that. I get people into project, like I get brand new people into crypto, and I've had to like kind of like I usually tell people get the big four, you know, crypto.com, Coinbase, Gemini, you know. Yeah.
Okay, I got the alpha here, May 5th. May 5th. So that's next Tuesday. Monday.
It should have been May 4th, bro. It should have been like, the force may be with you, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be next week. It'll be live on Kraken. So you'll be able to do that in the US. But man, thanks again so much. We'll have you back soon. I'll have to hop on with you guys again. Definitely. Love chatting with you guys. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Next week's Vienna. So I don't know what the schedule is going to be like, but we will hopefully see you around. And I'm sure we'll get a stream in somewhere. So
yeah, I'll try to make something happen.
Yeah, let me know.
I might be on stage down there. Yeah, Dollar, we got to get you on again, dude. It was fun. It was great chatting with you, dude. It was fun.
Let's do it again.
We'll see you soon.
All right, adios, everybody.
GMSONIC is Corval and Dracula Presley. GM.